So good morning from Camp Buehring. We just finished spending the night in this camp, which was an incredible experience to stay on base with these soldiers, with 7,000 soldiers that call this place home. It was an interesting drive out here. It's literally in the middle of nowhere. So we got to experience real desert. I mean, there was nothing for an hour and a half driving out here. So we were excited to arrive here. We went through 2 security checkpoints to get on base that were pretty intense. So they're definitely protecting the guys from and girls from folks that are trying to come in here that shouldn't be. There were humongous cement structures that we had to drive through, and they took mirrors around our cars checking for bombs, and it's definitely a very thorough security inspection at a couple of different checkpoints, just in case, I guess, the first person missed something. So want to do obviously whatever those guys can to protect our folks on base, no question. So as I said, there's about 7,000 people currently living on base. They have the capacity to hold about 17,000, and they are constantly on standby to take in a battalion at any given time, which is an incredibly large group of people. So they are ready and able to do so. We're about, I think, 9 miles from the border of Iraq right now. So a lot of the fuel, a lot of the pieces and parts to repair military vehicles, military aircraft are held on this base. And we had the amazing honor. I have some notes here, so I'm going to cheat a little bit because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. But we had the amazing honor to meet with the base commander, the camp commander, as soon as we got on base. Chris Leung is an amazing guy. He even took out the time to sit down and have lunch with us, and really focused on us being there, and expressed his gratitude for us. And it was really a feeling of the other way around for us, and in our expressing our gratitude and appreciation for him and his staff. So not only did we get to spend a considerable amount of time with the camp commander, Chris Leung, but we got to spend some time with the battalion executive officer, Brandon Mackey, CSM Roy Sharp, who's the camp CSM, Major Patrick McLean, who's the operations officer for the base, and many, many others. As I said, they have every single nut, bolt, piece, part you need in the military to pretty much repair anything on this base. It's a massive base covering 10 square kilometers, and then outside of the base there's additional training areas that are significantly larger than that that they have access to as well. An interesting fact: the Kuwaitis did some testing on the land underneath us and around us, and have a strong feeling that there is a considerable amount of oil underneath where we're sitting right now. And for a long time, things were up in the air as to whether or not they were going to pick this entire base up, which is comprised of over 1,500 structures, significant structures, and move it somewhere else so that they could drill right here. That cost would be the responsibility of the Kuwaitis, and was estimated at $4 billion. So it's no surprise that they decided to hold off on that for now, because that's a pretty big check to stroke. But they are the country with the wealthiest country per capita in the entire world, though. So you never know. and that could change at any time. And because of that, they're extremely sensitive to additional structures being put up. So there needs to be an approval process for any additional structures that get put up. If there's any roads that need to get paved, that's pretty much going to be a no. But there are some approvals approvals that you can obtain, but they are not approved very often. They do not want very much stuff going in here because of their idea that there is a considerable amount of oil underneath where we're sitting. So they were gracious enough to host us overnight, which was an incredible experience to be able to stay on base. I mean, it was really incredible. I really don't even, I obviously don't have the words to describe it. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. We were just woken up about an hour or so ago by traditional military trumpets waking up the entire camp. We're actually staying in extremely nice accommodations. There are many of the soldiers here are living in temporary tents because everything on this base is a temporary structure. Nothing is a permanent structure. Every single thing on this base they can pick up and move somewhere if they need to. So many of these soldiers are staying in tents that man 60 people. So imagine sleeping with 60 other people in a room for 9 months or 12 months during your deployment, and then coming home and you're in a room by yourself. I have to imagine that's a really tough transition. This base is also completely off-grid. So with the 110,000 gallons of fuel that they truck onto base per week, they're running this entire thing. There's no power lines, there's nothing coming in here. So they are completely off the grid. And they even have a waste facility here that they maintain as well. But it does take 110,000 gallons of gasoline to keep this camp running every single week, which is just an incredible amount of fuel. Fuel here is a lot cheaper, but that's still an incredible amount of fuel. They do truck in all of their water, all of it, and I don't recall the number off the top of my head, but it's millions and millions of gallons. And with as hot as it gets out here, they have bottled water available at all times to any soldier that needs it. And you have to imagine, with 7,000 people on base, maybe they drink 5 to 10 bottles a day given how hot it is here. So think about all the bottled water that they have to bring in. That's a lot. There's over 1,000 porta potties on base. Last summer they recorded the second highest recorded temperature on the planet Earth. So it was 127.9 degrees one day last summer. So it does get incredibly hot here. They make announcements saying warning, warning, warning. It's very hot out. Make sure you stay hydrated. So at any given time, they have over 1,000 work orders open on things that they're repairing or things that they're working on, which is considerable amount. Here's an interesting thing. The average soldier on this base is between the age of 22 and 24, making an average income in the mid 20,000 range, so 24, 25, 26,000 dollars a year. And many of these soldiers who have families back home, which qualify for welfare, and they've they've made the sacrifice of leaving their families and coming over here to protect our freedoms, and they're on welfare. If that doesn't strike you as unacceptable, I mean, that's just terrible. It's terrible. So I'll keep going because I could comment on that for a long period of time, but most of these guys are receiving welfare because they are below the poverty line in the United States, and they're soldiers protecting us. So I have a incredibly difficult time stomaching that, but most of the soldiers here that are active duty are here for 9-month tours. Some of those get extended. Some of them, a lot of them do get to go home after 9 months, but as we all know, the military can extend it at any time and say, actually, you're staying. But as I mentioned before, the base is 10 square kilometers in size, so it is a massive, massive base. They bring about 25,000 people a year through here. Many of the soldiers that are fighting in Iraq stop here first and then continue on to Iraq. There are massive training facilities here, which I'll go over in a little bit, to prepare and ready these soldiers for what they're going out to do. I asked the base commander, what is the need here? What do they want most? And he said he was surprised to see this answer, because the answer wasn't, we want to have our own space and and be able to live in our own quarters with just a couple of other folks instead of staying in a tent with 60. That wasn't their request. They're not asking for more entertainment or more different ways to get beer on base because it's a dry country. That is not any of their wishes. Their wish is to have free internet. The base commander pays $50 a month himself to have the internet connection that he does, which is available to anybody and everybody. But if you're on welfare, $50 a month is a lot. And I was just thinking to myself, gosh, free internet just so they can communicate with their families and tell them that they're okay and say I love you and say I miss you. That's their number one wish. And it's amazing that the USO is here to provide that. And so anytime that they go to the USO tent, which is a massive tent, they get free internet. And I'll go over some of the other things that the USO provides for them. It's a really amazing facility that they have on this base. So I'm excited to get into that with you here in a minute. Let's see what else. I mean, there are literally people who specialize in just about anything and everything on this base. They have divers here, like that go in the water. We're in the middle of the desert, but divers are on base right now. Military police, obviously, chemical warfare specialists, psych ops, which is actually what the base camp commander specializes in himself. So really impressive breadth of people that stay on this base. And they do hold 5 million gallons of fuel on base at any given time, because they're fueling these aircrafts that are often going into Iraq, and their own aircraft that are staying here as well. So as I mentioned, we got to meet the camp commander and his staff. As soon as we got here, we got to spend a considerable amount of time with them, which was absolutely amazing, and we couldn't possibly be any more grateful for that. We got to eat lunch with them as well, which was really amazing. The DFAC was extremely large, as I'm sure you would imagine, with all of these people staying on base. The soldiers have 30 minutes to get through the line and get their food and get out of here. out of the DFAC. So they're given 30 minutes to eat at the most. Many soldiers are only given 20, depending on what task they're assigned to. It's not a facility where you just walk right through. There's definitely lines in there, so you gotta hustle pretty good. We got to experience the training facilities for medical. They have medical training that is very real with all of the body parts, and situations where blood is literally squirting out of mannequins, and you gotta get a tourniquet on whatever body part it is within seconds to save your fellow brother or sister's life. So that was really interesting to see. They have IED training. So we saw a big class going through that while we were in the training facility section. Excuse me. We saw a Humvee rollover training, so they literally have a simulator in this building that is rolling over and over and over, and it can land on any side of the vehicle, and these soldiers need to get out. So we got to see a daytime and nighttime simulation of what these folks are training for if and when it happens, which apparently it happens quite often in Iraq. So they really have to know what to do to get out of the vehicle safely and be able to move pretty quickly as well. So that was very interesting to see. During the day when they had the lights on, and then of course it's a building with no windows, so they just shut the lights off and turned on a couple of flashing lights which makes the scenario more difficult to simulate a nighttime environment. So that was really interesting to see. We went to a virtual training center and got to participate in that, which was really cool. We got to shoot all kinds of different assault rifles, grenade launchers. I shot a 50 cal, so that was really awesome. They were doing virtual shooting with 9mm and different types of handguns as well. So that was a really amazing experience to have, and an important thing to have on base, so that these soldiers are preparing for what's necessary and what's to come. At the end of each shooting session that we had, they review that with you, and how many missed shots did you have? How much of your ammo did you just sort of waste? How many direct hits did you have? How many kills did you have? All of this is very important, because when you have limited ammo in the field, if you're out doing something for that day and you have limited ammo, you don't want to waste a lot of it, right? You want to keep as much as you can and have accurate shots to properly protect yourself and have that last you. So that was really interesting. They have a massive training area with 2-story buildings, mannequins, cars, trailers. It's just humongous, and so just about anything that you want to train and prepare for, you're able to do in this area, which was really cool. Next we went to the USO Center. So we got to see the movie theater that they have in there. They have a music room in there with acoustic guitars, which was really cool. They have a reading program. So at any given time they try to keep, I think it's 100 books available. And these soldiers can go into a very quiet and nice room with a camera, just like I have. Read a book to their child. And so then they take the memory card out of the camera. They take that memory card and the book and they send it home to their families. And we met one soldier that reads a book to his little boys at least once a week and sends it home. And wow, as a little kid to have your father or your mother send something like that home, it's just game changing. It's got to be amazing to receive, and you know, a little bit more of a connection to somebody that you miss so much, and it is so far away. Unfortunately, there was a soldier that did one of these readings for his children, and a couple of days later lost his life and paid the ultimate sacrifice. And a couple of days after the family found out, they received this memory card. And that's something that they'll treasure forever. Excuse me. And something that'll mean something to them forever. So, what an important program. Really, really amazing. So, if I can get myself together here. They also have a gaming station with PlayStations and Xboxes. They have a quiet room, so if a soldier's wife is at home giving birth, the USO will literally stay open as long as they have to make sure that that soldier is there experiencing the birth of their child to the very end. So really amazing service there. They have non-government computers, so the soldiers can go on and check Facebook and, you know, do pretty much whatever they want. You know, they do make sure they're not doing things that they shouldn't, but you know, it's a little bit less restricted access so that you can access Facebook and stay in touch with family the way that you may not be able to on a government computer. They have phone stations, many phone stations in the USO tent so that these soldiers are able to call home and talk to their families, which is really, I mean, it's so critical. And it means not only so much to that soldier, but so much to that family as well. Next, we got to go see a lot of really cool helicopters and aircrafts. We got to actually go into, sit in, I sat in the pilot's seat of a Black Hawk, so that was really, really cool. I sat in the pilot's seat of just sort of a regular Black Hawk, and then also a medical one as well. So that was a really, really neat experience. There was another helicopter there. I'm worried that I'm going to mess up the name of this. I'm pretty sure it was called a Chinook, but I could be wrong about that. So that was really cool to see. The pilots came out and spent some time with us as well, and talked about their experiences, which was really cool. I mean, these guys are they're cool guys. They're pretty awesome at what they do, and they're very passionate about what they do, and they certainly love what they do. So we talked to the crew as well, so that was really awesome. We understood in some of the Black Hawks where you would shoot out of, and they showed us all of the equipment that the gun's attached to and how it swings out of this window while you're in flight, and it was really awesome. So then we came back to our quarters where we were going to be staying overnight, got settled for a few minutes, and headed right back out to the USO again, where we got to hand out our BBMC mortgage care packages. I'm going to say we probably handed out about 150 of the 400 that we brought over to a battalion that literally just arrived maybe a week or two ago. Unfortunately, they have already lost a soldier within their group. So it was really neat to be able to shake their hands and speak with each one of them and hand out care packages, which I can't even describe to you how grateful they were for those. We served them dinner and dessert, which was really, really amazing. It's quite the honor to be able to serve food and be there to serve somebody who serves us so much on a daily basis. Next, we went to out back of the USO to sort of a sand volleyball court where they did a service program. So they did a bunch of games. So they blindfolded them and did blindfolded musical chairs, which was interesting. They did a contest that I'm not so sure I would love, but apparently they go crazy for it. So more power to them. But so you smash an egg on your forehead, and if it's a boiled egg, you're good. And if it's a raw egg, you're out. So that was pretty cool to watch. Although I'm not so sure I would want to participate in that and have egg all over my forehead, because I'm pretty sure I'd be that girl. And then later we watched a re-enlistment ceremony, which was really a humongous honor. So this is a soldier that's currently deployed, currently living on base. And she re-upped for 5 more years. She loves what she does. She's committed to her country. She's committed to her fellow soldiers, and that was really, really cool to see. So and of course the person in charge of that battalion was there, and we got to speak with him. We got to see him address his soldiers, and that was really cool as well. So. Unbelievably grateful to be here. I really don't want this experience to end, but we do have several more days left. So we're having a little bit of trouble uploading the videos each day. The internet connection here isn't the greatest, but we're doing the best we can to keep up with it. We're sending you as many pictures as possible. Again, the internet connection isn't amazing here, so it has proven to be a little bit difficult to upload video and pictures, but we'll send it to you just as often as we possibly can. We hope that you're following along with our journey. We're just so incredibly grateful to be here, on a tour that is hosted by the USO, our partners through the Patriots Charity Initiative, and they are incredibly gracious hosts, and the amount of people here that are grateful for the services that the USO offers. There's nobody here that it's not life-changing for. So there's 7,000 people on base that it's completely life-changing for, that it's a complete game changer for. That's the work that the USO does, and so much more. So thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys continue to follow us. We're really excited to share this story with you, and please stay tuned.